Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Big Matt, and today we're going to be calibrating a Tascam 42 reel-to-reel. This is a 2-track recorder. It plays and records in the forward mode. This unit runs at 7.5 and 15 inches per second. Right now I have an MRL reference tape loaded onto the machine, and we're going to go through some of the phases of the calibration process, beginning with the output level calibration. Most of the TAC and Tascam units reference the 2 o'clock position as the standard input and output levels when you're looking at the knobs. So what I do is basically just start off in that position, and that way I don't have to mess with it anymore, and then adjust the potentiometers. On this Tascam 42, most of the potentiometers are located on these 2 rows. On this Tascam 42, the frame is the same as on a Tascam 48, and then all 8 channels would be located behind these these slots. For the Tascam 42, they're only using 2 of those slots, and they're located right here for channel 1 and here for channel 2, the left and the right channels. And this area is normally covered with a bottom cover, but when you remove that cover beneath it, it tells you what all the adjustment points are for. Like this is for record equalization, record calibration, and so on. The first ones we're going to be adjusting are the playback calibration and the sync calibration. On this Tascam 42 is represented as reproduce and sync. So I have the tape loaded now. We're going to start with channel 1, which is the left channel, and that's going to be located in the 4th slot down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Big Matt, and today we're going to be we're going to be calibrating a Tascam 42 reel-to-reel. This is a 2-track unit. It plays and records in the forward mode. It runs at 7.5 and Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Big Matt, and today we're going to be calibrating a Tascam 42 reel-to-reel. This is a 2-track recorder. It runs at 7.5 and 15 inches per second. Right now I have an MRL tape loaded to it, and we're going to be beginning with the output level calibration. And the calibration points on this machine are located at the bottom of the unit behind these openings. The Tascam 48 uses the identical case, and that on that unit, each one of these rows of openings would correspond to one of the channels, 1 through 8. This is a 2-track unit, so there are only 2 cards on this board, and they're located in the 4th and 5th position. The 4th one being for channel 1, or the left channel, and the 5th row being for channel 2, the right channel. And this is normally covered up with this plate. And on the inside of the plate, you can see where the corresponding potentiometers are for each channel. Again, we're going to be working on channels 4 and 5, and we're going to start with the playback calibration. There are two playback calibrations we have to set up. It's for the reproduce and the sync heads. This is the reproduce is the normal output of the unit. And while we're talking about the output knob on TIAC and Tascam units, most of the time they reference keeping these knobs in the 2 o'clock position. That corresponds to number 7 on the 0 to 10 scale on the dial. So I already have these things at the 2 o'clock position, and I have the MRL tape loaded. We're going to monitor the signal on this this meter, and when it's set up for -10 dB, 0 dB on the machine should register 0 on the meter. So I'm going to begin playing the tape. And we're really close to 0 dB. This is for the right channel. And if we look at the left channel, it's really close also. I could bump up the output just a little bit and reach 0 dB, but it's a little bit past the 2 o'clock position on the tape deck, and I really want to keep this thing at the 2 o'clock position for this machine in particular, because it belongs to a guy that works in the studio, and some of his readings have to be more accurate than the ones that I use here in the shop for my home entertainment system. It's not that critical for me or most of you guys that are doing this as a hobby and just listening to your own tape decks. Doesn't have to be that critical. You can make that adjustment here at the knob. That's what those knobs are there for. But again, since this thing is going into a studio, I want it to be as accurate as possible. So I'm going to adjust the potentiometers on these two channels to make them register at 0 dB when I'm playing an MRL tape at this meter. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is go back and make sure that the left and right output knobs are at 2 o'clock. I'm gonna rewind the tape to the beginning. And for the repro, it's going to be the second knob over, which is this guy. This is going to be the left channel. I have the left channel plugged into the meter, and now when I press play, I'm going to adjust the potentiometer until it reaches 0 dB at this at the meter. Okay, it's a little low, so we're going to bring it up just a little bit. Okay, it's the left channel. We're going to do the same thing for the right channel. Right channel is really close, but it needs to come just a hair. Okay. Now I'm going to rewind the tape, and then I'm going to select the sync output. Rewind the tape to the beginning. And we're going to check the right channel first, since we already have it plugged in. That's going to be in this slot for the right channel. And I want it to read 0 dB at the meter. A little low, so bring it up just a little bit. Okay, now we'll look at the left channel. Again, we're looking for 0 dB. I'm going to bring it up just a little by rotating the potentiometer counterclockwise.
500 hertz at 0 decibels. Set gain for azimuth and frequency response calibration.
I'm going to rewind it to the beginning. And again, for home use, this is already close enough. I would only do this type of adjustment on a machine that's going into a studio. bring it down just a hair. The next step is the meter calibration. This is for the input. This is for the tape meter calibration for the left VU meter, and this is the one for the right VU meter. I'm going to try to do this while I'm recording. I'll have to move the camera a little bit so you can see the meters, but the tape is at the beginning of the signal, and we're going to adjust this potentiometer to make the left VU meter read 0 dB. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for the right meter. That's this guy. And we just need to bring it down to 0 dB.
500 hertz at 0 decibels.
Okay, next up is the input level calibration. We need to send a neg 10 dB signal from this unit at 400 hertz. And that's what we hear coming into the Tascam 42 right now. Okay, and the goal of this adjustment is the output needs to read neg 10 dB also. So this is what's going into the Tascam, and then we're going to read what's coming out of the Tascam. And it's a little high when our meter is, or when our knob is set to 2 o'clock, and so we need to bring down the level on the Tascam 42, and we adjust that at input calibration. This is this guy for the left channel, and this one for the right channel. So we're on the right channel now. We want to bring it down to 0 dB. Okay, it's a little high. Bring it down to 0. Okay, so that's good. Now we're going to do the same thing with the left channel. Just a little bit high. So again, we're going to use the input calibration for the left channel, which is the channel 1, and bring it down just a hair. All right, now the left and right channels are both reading 0 dB at the output, and the input meter adjustment is next. And to adjust that, it's going to be these two potentiometers for the left and the right channels. I'll have to do this one-handed. You see both channels are a little bit high, so I'm bring the left channel down a little bit first. Okay, and do the same thing for the right channel. Okay, so that's at 0 dB on the input and the output. And we'll double check our meter again. This is from the oscillator, it's 0 dB. And this is the output of the unit. And this is 0 dB also on the left and the right channels. For this portion of the calibration, we're going to do the head alignment check. I've already adjusted the heads This is a perfect alignment. This is acceptable. When it gets up to here, it's acceptable also because it's 90 degrees out of phase. But if it goes this far, or this oblong signal is tilted to the left instead of to the right, that means it's past 90 degrees out of phase. So again, this is what we're that's a perfect signal, especially at we're going to be looking at it at 12.5 kilohertz. These two are acceptable. I usually shoot for this one at the higher frequencies. At the lower frequencies, like 1K in that area, we try to get them almost perfect for that alignment. So with that said, we're going to begin playing the portion of the tape and monitoring the signal on an O-scope. Okay, and that's a good signal. I think that's 10K.
12.5 kilohertz.
And that's well within tolerance. Okay, now I'm going to fast forward the tape to the to the 1 kilohertz section.
One kilohertz at reference fluxivity. Set reproducer gain so the volume indicators read 0 decibels.
Okay, and that's a very, very good signal from the reproduce heads. If it were out of alignment, it would start looking like this. But as you can see, the heads are in playback heads in perfect alignment. Just completed the bias and record level calibrations on the unit. This thing's in a really good condition. This is the signal we have going into the machine. It's two sine waves, left and the right channels. The top line is the left channel, the bottom line is the right channel. And when I add those two signals together, that's how we achieve this signal. It's very steady now because that's coming directly from the oscillator. The output of the tape deck will show some variation because of the analog tape involved. But this is the input going into the unit, and we see we're at 0 dB. And our goal is to maintain that same waveform and maintain 0 dB at the output of the tape. So when I press repro, we shouldn't see any change at the VU meters, and our output signal should remain the same also. If the heads were a little bit out of alignment, we can see that if I move the tape a little bit, we can see how that signal can get distorted. But again, this thing is in perfect alignment, and we shouldn't see a change when we change the frequency a little. Again, this is the Tascam 42 reel-to-reel. Okay, and since no one wants to listen to recorded tones, we're recording right now from my PC, and we're listening to this song over a Pioneer system. This is the actual recording. This is what's going on to the tape. Again, this is the actual recording. this is the Tascam 42.